It's a bit crazy right now. I'm really at the end of my rope. I know.
Qui passait sans me voir, sans même me dire bonsoir.
This is me, after 10 days in the second stage of the HexaTrek. But let's hold the spoilers back to Thonon-les-Bains, where I was still fresh and joyful, before the Alps chew me up and spit me out.
This bridge is the moment you leave Thonon-les-Bains to start on the second stage of the HexaTrek. Now it's really starting. And now I'm terrified. Now I'm proper terrified.
It is a common saying in through hiking that the first weeks on a trail you build your trail legs, meaning building up muscles in your legs to tackle any difficulty. And after almost 700 kilometers in the Vosges, I thought I was more than ready. I wasn't. Elevation changes in the Alps were as brutal as the views and bivouacs were ridiculously pretty.
Yeah. You remember the spot? The spot where I tried to put my tent but I failed miserably? I found something else. I found way better. Up there. And with this view. That's why I couldn't make it. Because it was not the good spot.
Despite those difficulties, I kept good composure and enjoyed the perks of mountain hiking. Perfect spots to have breakfast with million-dollar views.
This place looks like absolutely nothing. Desk is a 10 sheet. This building I cannot enter, so there should be no reason for me to stop here. But this morning, this was my perfect spot to have a breakfast. See, if you like this, I'm a real bench. A bench with a beer. The last view of the Lemon Lake. I can't get enough of this view. It's beautiful. It's nice.
It was my first time in the Alps, and sure, mountains are gorgeous, but by now you know what really motivates me to go forward? Pleasure. And what a joy to make a stop at Le Chalet de Bise, a refuge that is also a farm and cheese factory. So you can sleep there and eat a delicious good produce on the same spot. And all of it is ran by the superstar farmer Charlotte, who was kind enough to show me her kingdom, her love for cows, and the local abondance cheese. So I'm going to show you Charlotte. This is Charlotte. This is Charlotte working.
Hello!
And now she's making tome. So tome is a kind of cheese. I don't know how to describe it. Comment on décrirait la tome? C'est un fromage mou.
Pâte molle.
It's a soft cheese, and it has a very strong crust, very moldy. This gorgeous pot in copper is actually where all of the cheese is made. And depending on the cheese, you have a different recipe. You burn all of it, and then you divide it, and it goes in the cave. It is the miracle cave because this is where cheese become cheese. Right now there is nothing, and the reason there is nothing is because Charlotte actually arrived 3 days ago. So it's the beginning of the season, so you won't have a lot of cheese ready now, and that's normal. But this is abondance.
Non.
This
fromage
is
de Bise.
fromage de Bise. I have never heard of fromage de Bise.
C'est un lieu. Hein.
Ah.
Je te demande pas parce qu'il y a du bidou.
So abondance is this cheese over there. Just have a look at the abondance. And abondance.
Le talon, il est concave ici.
Okay, so that's very old.
Il a 1 an, il est du mois d'avril, là, 04.
You may recognize somebody here. This is Charlotte and her cow. And this is Charlotte now.
Refaite.
And obviously, the cows are coming. Everything is happening in here. From the cow to your plate, everything is happening in the same place.
Then she awarded me with a mythical drink from the region that you have to drink bottoms up so that the foam doesn't disappear, which recipe is personal to every family, a legend called La Chèvre. What?
Vas-y, je ne sais pas.
What is this? I mean, I don't know what it is. She doesn't want to tell me. Apparently it's a surprise. But it's pretty good. And I had to go very fast. Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Du jus de pomme.
Du
Avec
jus de
de
pomme?
la vanille.
Ok.
C'est fermenté en fait.
Ah,
Et un peu de rhum.
c'est bon. C'est super bon, j'adore.
After a fantastic night at the refuge and a solid breakfast, I thanked Charlotte for her hospitality and kindness and dived into the massif. Sadly, if the trail continues to offer amazing landscapes, flirting in those summits with Switzerland again, its technicality and late snow conditions would present the first major drawback of my hike, and more importantly, my first doubts. Le Pau Taureau was the first technical passage, a brutal last ascent on snow, followed by a wall to climb using a hanging rope. Easy for seasoned mountaineers on a day hike, but difficult for a long-distance hiker, weighted by a heavy backpack. The refuge keeper of Bastan told me not to go, that it wasn't safe for the moment, but I knew the day before another HexaTrekker passed in the same conditions without being warned. I was torn, but decided to have a go.
I'm not my usual giddy self because this is a very difficult path. I might be very early in the season because the snow is everywhere and some patches of snow are completely doable. But the way up is really terrifying. I'm right now with Leah. She is the assistant of refuge keeper. And this is the first time she's coming here as well. And we've been sitting here looking at this pass for a long time. We tried actually to climb up. We went up all the way until a point where we couldn't really go further. And at this point, a storm arrived, obviously, so it's not easy. And we've been actually looking at this thing. There is a way, but it's so incredibly difficult. Now it's my conscience because I also represent the HexaTrek, which means that I'm sending a lot of people this way. And if I am not capable of doing it, I feel very bad sending people there. So I'm very puzzled. I don't think that any trail is worth dying or even injuring yourself. It should be pleasure. I don't know. I don't feel good about this. And sometimes you have to listen to your guts. And I think this is one of the times. But it's beautiful, and look at that. Just right there. Yeah. After this difficult decision, I came back to the refuge du Boston, where Leah works, and talking with the refuge keeper, we actually decided to go further down and up again. So I'm going back to actually Le Pas du Taureau, but this time I'm going back to Le Pas du Taureau from the other side.
This was the first time the trail deceived me, and I started doubting it, and doubting myself. A damaging combo when you're supposed to open the way for others. If I can't pass, how could I send people there? What if somebody gets hurt by following me? Am I even enjoying this? Those questions would poison my head the rest of the way. You have to note that this section was a personal favorite of several HexaTrekkers, the mountain goats type. If you are in it for the thrill and have the experience, you'll love those technical sections. If you're inexperienced, or prefer your shots of dopamine coming at the sight of a great restaurant on the trail rather than hanging on the cliff, then you can always find a workaround. But luckily, the sights were appeasing me at every break. I was then distracted by something massive and loud when I reached the refuge de la Vojale. lucky to arrive right before the opening of the season, as the refuge keeper gathered a few friends up there to help prepare the building. They invited us for a fondue, and in exchange we helped to stock the refuge with the supplies brought by the choppers. A fascinating aerial dance in a remote location, and a great discovery of the backstage life of refugees in the Alps.
Installing the cable at the refuge de la Vogel, I feel like I'm playing kite with a refuge. Like, yeah, it's flying, look at that. Yeah, I'm losing my mind.
All of that in one of the most gorgeous areas of the entire HexaTrek. Because of the snow and this previous setback, I decided to continue on alternative routes rather than facing all the difficulties listed on the official path of that year.
So, here I am at the Cascade with our sofas. I just quit 6th Fellowship and I'm trying to take the alternative route. Altern Lake and Lac d'Anterne, and then the Col de Saint-Anton, the Saint-Anton Pass.
So yeah, I made it. This is the lake. It's 9, and I had the time to climb up here, which is quite a long way in this heat, and to have a beer at the refuge d'Anterne. That was right before that, and to talk with a very end of the world kind of shepherd. It's all a conspiracy and everything. I haven't seen somebody like that in a long time.
As I thought that the worst was behind me, my morale got better, and I enjoyed walking those easy trails alongside the Mont-Blanc, saluting me finally in the back.
This is the peak of Saint-Anton. Yamayo, Yamayo. And over there is a pass. And this is the pass I'm supposed to take. I can't see snow for the moment. It should be fine.
But if this side of the mountain was cleared of snow, the northern face hid a dramatic patch that you had to cross at an angle. After 4 hours of climbing, the idea of going back and losing a few more days was unfathomable, and I decided to follow this brave couple. I shouldn't have, as after only 2 steps, my worn-out shoes slipped and I fell, sliding on the snow towards the rocks that I avoided at the last second. From this angle, it seems like a fun place to slide, but I couldn't see where the slope was going and couldn't stop sliding or control my fall. I got lucky that no cliff or rocks were waiting for me at the end. Burnt by the snow, shaking, scared for my knee, the morale destroyed by another failure on what was supposed to be the easy way, I continued my hike. It didn't help that I would reach now one of the most crowded areas of my trek. It started to be a little bit too much to handle.
Here I am, just above Chamonix, and right there is the Mont Blanc. I am at the Lac de Bise. It's a beautiful lake, and it's a lake where you can camp. I was supposed to be there last night, but I couldn't make it because the day before was so hard already. To be fair, I'm at the end of my capacities now. I've been gone for 10 days from Tournai, and the Alps have been very hard on me, especially with the snow. It is a crowded day, actually, right now, and in Chamonix, you have a lot of people on the treks, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to be alone in the mountains, so it's kind of difficult for me, but you know. So I will take 2 days off. I'm going to change my shoes because my shoes are basically completely flat. I don't have any lugs anymore. It's slippery. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I lost a lot of things that I need. So I'm going to buy everything in Chamonix and it will be fine. But now I just need to drink my coffee. It's a bit crazy right now. I'm really at the end of my rope.
With this gorgeous lake swarming with tourists in fluo colors, I decided to cut short to head directly to Chamonix, where I was hoping to find some peace and quiet. Alas, my day off didn't go as planned. At this stage, I had become a grumpy old bear shouting at other mountaineers to get off my lawn, used to silence and laying on dirt. And I didn't mix well with the electrical atmosphere of Chamonix. Too sporty, too perfect, too Disneyland. I don't know, it seems like the Disneyland of the mountains, or a Ubisoft game that never stops. Everybody is so hip, cool, with fluo colors. Now I'm hiking towards the Parc de la Vanoise, and I have a new weapon for that. Brand new shoes. And they're insanely red. Hopefully that will make a difference. Now towed by those outrageously bright shoes, to blend in with the crowd, I climbed a really steep slope, hoping to get away from this mass mountain tourism. I was ready to encounter a lot of things, but definitely not a train. It was a very hard climb, really, because, well, it was straight up like this from Les Ouches, and the sun is killing us. Still the heat wave in France. And after this very hard climb, you're not expecting to have a fucking train just arriving magically in the middle of nowhere. It's actually a very famous train that goes around the Mont Blanc, and this is where you see that the Alps are extremely developed compared to the Pyrenees, for example, or les Vosges. But it's nice. A lot of cold water, toilets. There is even Wi-Fi on Col de la Rosa. This is ridiculous. But yeah, it's still a nice stop. I thought I would start to see less hikers by getting further from Chamonix, but the stream of backpackers thickened. This is when I realized that for a few kilometers, the HexaTrek was sharing the way of one of the most popular French trails.
We are actually on the Tour du Mont-Blanc. Tour du Mont-Blanc being a long-distance hike, 170 kilometers, that goes around, well, the Mont-Blanc, which makes sense. And it's the Alps, so it's crowded. The good thing about it is that you have refuges everywhere, so you can take a shit everywhere and have coffee. Here at the refuge de la Balme, for example. And apparently the refuge de Col du Mont is extremely popular and extremely famous and historical and blah blah blah. Let's see about that. But you can see a lot of people in general, a lot of young people, very fit and half naked. This is the style right here in Chamonix.
My famously slow hiking style surprised me. I was going actually faster than most hikers there. Probably my legs were pushing hard to avoid the queues forming on the narrower sections. Or maybe I had finally gotten my mountain-proof trail legs. I quickly reached the pass. Col de la Croix du Bonhomme in French means the cross of... the pass of the cross of the dude? Something like that? That's kind of an old expression. Funnily enough, they love to put cross on every pass and every peak. And the one that has the name of a cross doesn't have a cross. And now we're going to go down at the refuge de Col de la Croix du Bonhomme. Jesus Christ, that's a mouthful. And at that refuge, I would have the chance of meeting a lovely team, say goodbye to the crowd and snow, and discover my new foes, the rocks and trek burnout. But that is for another episode of the HexaTrek, the Thru de France.